is my house. This is my home. Enter my house. Enter my home. Come, be welcome. Come in to my house.
Oh, there's a fun way to start. Thank you, choir, and Toby and Mei Lin. So this is a song I encountered in 1994 and set it for a choir years ago, and I called the composer, said, is this okay if I do this? And so since we were pulling it out again all these years later, I thought I should probably ask again, is this okay if we do this choral arrangement? And he said he'd be thrilled, and he said, and by the way, he's a member of a Unitarian Universalist congregation now. So, yeah. So come, be welcome. Come in and become. I'm the Reverend Kevin Tarsa, and whether you think of this as your house, your community, your world, your home, or you are searching for and hoping to find a home for your heart and your spirit, I invite all of us to welcome the people around us, even if we're here for the very first time. I invite us to work together to make sure that everyone is welcomed warmly and well, especially those people we don't know yet. I invite you to welcome the people around you. Susan, would you very carefully go back so it's a little bit safer? Wonderful, thank you. As Nancy Finley comes up to offer our land acknowledgement, now is the perfect time to silence our cell phones, to release ourselves from our devices, so that we can be present to each other and present to this time together.
We are committed to learning how to be in right relationship with the Nisenan, the indigenous people of our land, who are still here among us today. These black oak acorns are a symbol of our commitment.
Oh, and thanks to a couple of people, we have some fresh black oak acorns from the new season. And our chalice lighting is offered today by Kathy McLeod. Thank you, Kathy.
Good morning. Lighting of the Chalice by Lee Blumel. We light our chalice, this ancient symbol of communion and equality, symbol of mystics and heretics, reformers and refugees, artists, activists, and Unitarian Universalists everywhere.
Cheryl lights our chalice, this symbol of our tradition, a flame in a cup in a chalice. And what we do each Sunday is send the light with our youngest people as they go to Kids Connection. So I invite Cheryl on up to come and get the light, and we will sing Cheryl and our young people on their way with this little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm
Good morning. I'm Cheryl Morris, slightly absent-minded this morning, serving as your worship associate here at the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains. Welcome to you here in the room and on Zoom, and to those who may watch this service at some future time on YouTube. Bless you. We issued a special invitation to bring grandchildren to church today, and it's great to see that some of you did. And we've had lots of brand new black oak acorns brought in, and that's great. Everything needs to be refreshed from time to time. This is also a day of outstanding music as we welcome back Toby and the choir, and there's more to come from our special guest, Mei Lin Heirendt. We continue to explore our monthly theme, Living Love Through the Practice of Invitation, and today's service is titled, Home is Where the Heart Is. For many, this is our church home. For many of us, this may be where we feel the most at home. For others, there may be a questioning, could this become my home? And if this is your very first time here, we are so glad you chose to spend the morning with us and hope you will come back again and again. Now, the other part of the service title is Heart. Think of all the ways we pair welcome, home, and heart. A hearty welcome, a wholehearted greeting, a heartfelt invitation, for example. Our invitation this morning is to reflect on why we come here, why we keep coming, what it means to be part of a religious community, and why this one. So whatever brought you here today, whether it's your first time or one of so many times, whatever is in your heart, you are so welcome. It is good to be together.
I am so glad that you wanted to talk about ecclesiology today. And no, that's not a hospital department. Last Sunday, we focused on our sense of personal vocation or calling, not merely in terms of careers and jobs, but in terms of what seems to be calling each of us deeply at this point in our life. Something that's tugging at us, that's something that we can't not do, even if we're not sure why. So today and next Sunday, we pull that calling focus out a little farther to consider the nature and the purpose of religious community. The Greek word ecclesia means called together, or a gathering of those summoned. And so the question ecclesiology asks is, what brings a community into being, what summons it, and what holds it together? 14 years ago, two ministers, Rebecca Parker and John Behrens, crafted a systematic theology of Unitarian Universalism, meaning that they looked at Unitarian Universalism through a set of lenses commonly used to understand the core aspects of many religious traditions. Lenses like ecclesiology. In a book they titled A House for Hope, they framed each fancy word lens in terms of very ordinary and familiar aspects of a home. They write of the garden, for example, eschatology, the foundations, theology, the roof, soteriology, the threshold, missiology, and the welcoming rooms, pneumatology. Over the course of this year, my intention, at least at this point, is periodically to explore these concepts in ways that I hope will help us look at and understand and then imagine and embody this tradition and community for the new day, for the day at hand and for the years to come. So we begin today and next Sunday with the lens of ecclesiology, which Parker and Buren symbolize as the sheltering walls of our house for hope. The walls being a key defining aspect of a home. That we are supporting Habitat for Humanity this month seems especially fitting. It's when the walls go up that a sense of a home really starts to take tangible shape, tangible and specific shape. So how and why do we get together? Why do we gather as Unitarian Universalists and as the Unitarian Universalist community of the mountains? I'll begin with a couple fragments of history, because history continues to shape us no matter how far we think we've moved away from it. And then in the second portion, I'm going to ask you why you're here, what you're looking for. Now, I grew up in the Catholic tradition, inside sheltering church walls that were graced with extraordinary stained glass windows. This is just a tiny close-up of one of a dozen very large windows, these world-class windows on this little church out in the middle of farm fields. In the Catholic tradition, the color and light through stained glass windows, this is another of those windows from that church. I went to church in 5 days a week because we went to a Catholic school. So my eyes got to wander over these windows a lot. In Catholic tradition, that color and light through stained glass, it inspires a sense of hushed reverence and awe. It's really spectacular. The windows often also hold and teach important stories, some meanings obvious and some more subtle. Often, many stories are unfolding in a single window. In European cathedrals back when, this is one of the ways that stories and messages were imparted to people who could not read, or who at the very least did not have a Bible. Since before the widespread use of printing presses, handwritten Bibles are said to have cost as much as a house. So just as the priests and the hierarchy who did have access to Bibles and the education to read them, and therefore the chance to interpret the meanings of the Bible's content for everyone else, in other words, for the people summoned, the common people. Because of that, all interpretations of religious writings and ideas came from on high, right, and were handed down or imposed, including in the way the stories and the messages were portrayed in the engaging and colorful windows. The National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., which is rooted in the Episcopal Church and meant to be a house of prayer, they say, for all people, has many wonderful and more contemporary windows, the newest of which is the Now and Forever set of windows. It's meant to capture the resilience, faith, and endurance of African Americans and our nation's struggle, they said, with the original sins of racism and slavery. These windows arose from a 2017 decision to permanently remove windows honoring Confederate Generals Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson. Our houses are always under construction and reconstruction, right? Back when I had a chance to visit the cathedral in high school many years ago, my favorite window and the cathedral's most famous and popular window was the space window, which holds in that top circle at the very center an actual Apollo 11 piece of moon rock at the center. Very cool, isn't it? Another kind of message delivered in that window. The early leaders of the Protestant Reformation were frustrated by and protesting the opulent excesses, they thought, of the Catholic Church, of the misuse of power by the leadership at that time. They felt that Christianity had gotten way too far away from the essential messages that Jesus had taught and the ways that people were supposed to gather with each other in simple community, too far away from what this life was supposed to mean for his followers and for the world. Things like stained glass windows and statues and relics and elaborate rituals and intricately carved cathedrals were, for them, misplaced points of focus, and not merely distractions, but in fact, they said, off-the-mark idols that had become more important than the meaning of Jesus' life. In other words, people were worshiping the surface bling and missing the real point, they felt. So they set out to change that, to reform the church. And as these Protestant reformers, as the Protestant Reformation took hold, in places like Scotland, for example, in 1560, the Protestant reformers destroyed anything they considered distracting and idolatrous, like stained glass windows. So all across the country in Scotland, they smashed and buried the windows, or just left them to decay. And researchers are now sifting through those shards to see what they can learn about those early churches, what they can learn from the history. So why am I sharing this fragment of UU history in our UU service? The Protestant reformers, our religious ancestors among them, replaced the stained glass windows with simple, plain glass. There is a larger meaning to this move. The point in refashioning churches to be very spare and simple, with no adornments, was so that there'd be no distractions from placing all of one's attention on the Word. In their case, the Word as written in the Christian Bible. So nothing would distract. The reason the Protestant Reformation could take hold in the first place and take off as it did was because with the spread of printing presses, Bibles could now be in many more people's hands. And not just in Latin or Greek or Hebrew, but in people's own language. Suddenly, many more people could read and interpret the Bible for themselves. And so, as you might expect, there were all kinds of new approaches to Christianity, new ideas of what was the right way. The plain glass in the windows was, in essence, light to read by. No longer dependent on someone else's interpretation of what people are supposed to know or believe, this is light that allows people to read and understand the Word for themselves. This is why concerted Bible study is still so much more common in Protestant traditions than in the Catholic tradition. Each person is called to take in the Word and take to heart the Word for themselves. That's the bottom line. We Unitarian Universalists, religious offspring, thanks Cyprus, religious offspring of the left wing of the Protestant Reformation and descendants of the Puritans and the Pilgrims on this continent, we came out of that protesting tradition with a focus on reading and deciding for ourselves. Though we Unitarian Universalists now are not very often centered so much in the Bible, here we still have simple glass and a pretty simple room, right? Not a lot of fancy stuffs. And we still have a tendency to focus on, some would say a tendency to worship the Word, our words, right? Particularly the written Word. The Word that can now come from all kinds of sources, right? Scientific American as much as anything, right? We are the people of the books rather than the people of the book. And we prioritize, in fact, we institutionalize the freedom of every person to glean truth for themselves wherever they can find it. Freedom to interpret everything we experience and encounter for ourselves. Little did our protesting religious ancestors know how far away from their ideas that would take some of us. However, notice I said we institutionalize the freedom to interpret everything for ourselves, and I did not say by ourselves. Our UU tradition, here too drawing on its Protestant inheritances, insists that we seek truth freely in the company of and in conversation with each other. Which brings us to the second fragment of history I want to lift up to highlight how we gather. In other words, to shed light on our ecclesiology. But I'm going to save that mostly for next Sunday. You might think that this freedom of religious thought means that there are no walls at all for who we are and to how we gather, as you use. That complete freedom, right? No walls at all. But our tradition's commitment, its insistence on every person's freedom of religious understanding and thinking is part of the container that holds communities such as this, right? We don't just allow it, we actually make sure that it's available. It's one important aspect of the sheltering walls that are meant to protect that kind of freedom. Sheltering walls that are designed to be liberating by ensuring freedom. Walls with enough windows coming from enough different directions to shed all kinds of light, letting in enough light to illuminate what needs to be seen and considered now. In framing this tradition and this community as a home, as a house for hope, we are claiming that here, the heart and the mind must have room to grow, room to change, room to be changed, and not in isolation. Rebecca Parker writes that the sheltering walls of our tradition are the sheltering walls, really, of community. It's community that holds the space for that. That Reformation momentum, all that reading for ourselves, has flung us so far out into our individualism that, as Rebecca puts it, liberal and progressive people of faith are often more at home alone than in the company of others. Anyone? The walls that protect each person's religious freedom in this tradition are walls created and held, it turns out, by community. Our tradition says that it's not possible to be a Unitarian Universalist all by oneself. We are by definition people whose gathering, whose communitying is what defines us as Unitarian Universalists. Not our particular ideas, not our specific religious beliefs, not our bylaws, not our buildings, and not merely our values or our like-mindedness, but rather our communitying and our relating in caring and liberating and mutually enlightening ways. That's what we count on. And that's where our walls most often need patching, Parker says, or reinforcing, or rebuilding, holding the space for freedom of our hearts and minds while at the same time protecting against the liabilities and the dangers that can be present in community life that our religious ancestors were trying to get away from, right? Community pressure can hold in as well as liberate. So how do we hold the liberating space for the best of community without holding too much in? Which is the thread we pick up next week. And in fact, a bit right now, with the sharing and honoring of our joys and sorrows. Today, invited and led by Cheryl Ritchie, a member of your very wonderful lay pastoral care team.
We have each arrived here in this space from a place we most likely call home. But we have come here freely to our church home, our community home, to gather for a purpose that has deep individual meaning. For this part of the service, we take some time to reflect on the joys and sorrows we carry in our hearts, our minds, and our bodies. After finding what is lifting us up to bring a feeling of joy and what is weighing on us as a feeling of sorrow, we have an opportunity to share our feelings in a community ritual. By remaining in our seats and contemplating the shared nature of these feelings, or by coming up and placing a stone in a bowl of water to commingle with the expressions of others, or on Zoom to enter a figurative expression of your feeling. We recognize that in this community, in this ritual, you are not alone. As you take part in this ritual, consider sharing a few minutes of mindfulness. If you choose to remain seated, breathe in the thought, I have arrived. Then breathe out the thought, I am home. And those of you choosing to walk up to the bowl, as you walk up, breathe in, I have arrived. Breathe out, I am home. I encourage those coming to the bowl to gather around it and share the space. I have arrived, I am home. I place some final stones for those joys and sorrows that remain unexpressed deep in our hearts. Using words of Thich Nhat Hanh from Death, No Fear. If you want to know where all the great beings live, I can tell you. Here's their address, in the here and now. It has everything you need. If you can breathe in and out and walk in the spirit of I have arrived, I am home, in the here, in the now, then you will notice that you are becoming more solid and more free immediately. You have established yourself in the present moment at your true address. Nothing can push you to run anymore or make you so afraid. You are free from worrying about the past. You are not stuck thinking about what has not happened yet and what you cannot control. You are free from guilt concerning the past, and you are free from your worries about the future. Only a free person can be a happy person. The amount of happiness that you have depends on the amount of freedom that you have in your heart. Freedom here is not political freedom. Freedom here is freedom from regret, freedom from fear, from anxiety and sorrow. I have arrived. I am home, in the here, in the now.
Comfort
raging around her, shouting in anger and fear. It was so far beyond understanding. She was all but 8 or 10 years. She lost mom and dad in the party. Little sister was spared in the flash. They walked across the sand seeking refuge, or to something like mercy at last. Walking across the desert, walking on and on. Walking across the desert to Lebanon. I have no idea what will happen in Canaan or anywhere else. It's hard on us all, but it's meaningful for some. And the postman say here's to your home. Planes letting up here in London, and the bells they seem quieter somehow. I've got no answers, just questions. All I know is what they're doing now. Walking across the desert, walking on and on. Walking across the desert to Lebanon.
Mei Lin, what a joy. Thank you. Thank you. And being from here, some of us have known you for a few years, and so it's just a great gift to have your music with us today and your heart and presence as well. Thank you. So the freedom that we claim is not merely freedom from, it's also freedom for. So if home is indeed wherever the heart is, my question for you is, what brings you here? What is your heart seeking? What in you are you either finding a home for here or yet seeking a home for here? Why do you come? What are you looking for? This is a question we ask periodically, but the thing is, the answers are not static. Our personal answers don't necessarily stay the same. So I invite you to call it out, and I'll repeat it so everyone can hear. And I'm going to pull up the chat so that I can watch the chat here as well. Where did it go? There it is. What brings you? Authentic connection. So looking for a place that will hold space for authentic connection and facilitate it. Community. And if I may follow that up with what does community offer you? So you're seeking, many people will often say community. What does having community give you that you're seeking?
Shared values.
A substitute for family, right? Shared values, seeking to be in a community of shared values. So they're reinforced and supported and maybe sometimes challenged and fine-tuned too. A place to practice loving and being loved, both. I'm seeing head nods, Joe.
A sense of belonging.
A sense of belonging. Inspiration. To feel open-hearted. A place to feel open-hearted. If I may follow up on inspiration, inspiration to what end or in what direction? So to find more purpose and to get more involved in things. So inspiration and kind of outward, inspiration that calls you outward, it sounds like. Curiosity. Curiosity brings you. Yeah. Support for spiritual growth. So growth, not just staying how we are, but stuff that calls us to deeper, calls us forward. The people and the messages feed my soul. And Elizabeth, what happens when your soul is fed? What does that offer you?
There is a sense of replenishment.
A sense of replenishment.
A sense of being kind of aligned and like I'm feeding my inner energy.
A sense of feeling, being aligned and feeling my inner energy. So kind of coming home to yourself at some level is part of what I hear in that, being in tune and aligned with who you are. Recentering. Susan. To find joy, a place where joy can arise. Trust, a place to trust others, to be trusted, to nodding to both. A place to rest and be supported. Seeing and being with friends, which is part of being seen and known, right? And seeing and knowing others. Thank you, Bill. Compassion. So compassion for you, to grow compassion in you? Both.
Compassion for me and learning to be compassionate.
It's compassion for you and learning to be compassionate, to grow compassion. What hasn't been said yet?
Trying to find words.
Mm-hmm.
So, learning the ability to be in a space.
Learning the ability to be in a space.
To be challenged.
To be challenged and grow. Beyond the edges. This is the sweet spot, right? The knowledge that we're okay as we are and we can grow and want to, right? That's the sweet spot we try to hold. A place where I can give, right? Which is part of coming into our own, I think, at a certain level. The ability to give, thank you. What hasn't been said yet that's in your mind and heart and you're thinking, ooh, I kind of want to say this. Needing to understand how God's word fits in. Where does that belong?
I think for me, there's something about the diversity, learning to really get to know people well enough to see the diversity and what we share.
So there's something about the diversity, knowing people well enough. Would you say that one more time?
Just really know people on a deeper level and see how diverse we really are and what we have in common.
So to know people at a deep enough level to see how diverse we really are and to find out what we have in common. Right?
And to love them.
And to love them, even when, even when. I'm gonna check the chat. With glasses that are making me safe space, being in a community with shared values, again, to be surrounded by kind people. No small thing. Peace. Songs, sharing love, shared caring for our world. To be uplifted, also no small thing. Spiritual community with an open-minded faith. Community love, discovery of spirituality, discovering the joy and loving of myself and others. Like-mindedness and kindness. sharing time with my religious community, what opens my heart, comfortingly and painfully, learning about other faith traditions, intellectual and spiritual enrichment, warmth of shared values, ritual. Is there something else on your mind and heart that hasn't been named yet?
To feel needed.
To feel needed
Valued.
and valued
And understood.
and understood. It's all huge things.
Supportive relationships that provide both comfort and push the envelope to make it bigger.
Supportive relationships that provide both comfort and that push the envelope to think in new ways. Alan.
Experiencing the joy of travel
Experiencing,
at home.
experiencing the joy of travel at home. Django.
Learning to accept change, step into the unknown.
Learning to accept change and step into the unknown
Courage and faith.
with courage and faith. Huge reason that brings people often searching for community. The banner on the front door. The banner on the front door said something, communicated something. Mary. Places spirituality without judgment. Beautiful music. So I invite you for a moment just to hold all of that. Right? Beautiful, really wonderful reasons to gather. Varied and cohesive at the same time. Right? There's a lot of connection in what people are seeking. We're going to pick up that thread next Sunday, but really, we pick up that thread every Sunday. Why are we here? And why are we here now becomes the question. And I think that what's been going on in the world in all kinds of ways has really asked us to look at that more deeply, right? We might have come at one time for one reason, but what about now? What are we seeking now? That's the place we're at. Thank you for your willingness to speak that. To close here, drawing on the wisdom of Rebecca Parker once again. May this be a community in whose coming together you are, over time, strengthened spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and intellectually, helping you to find and know a deep foundation for courageous and meaningful living. May this be a community of compassion and strength whose ways of coming together fire our intellects, touch our hearts, connect us in loving support with others, turn us to face the world's painful realities with honesty and analysis, and direct us into deeds of service. Oh, she's captured a whole bunch of it well, hasn't she? May this be a home, ultimately, with room for your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul. Yours, mine, and those who are still looking for and needing such a home. So may we be, and to be continued.
Each week, we take an offering that supports all aspects of UUCM, our church home, as well as a community partner that shares our values. This month, Habitat for Humanity will receive 50% of our gifts, another pairing of heart and home. Jason Wiles is their development director, and he's here to tell us more about what they're doing in our community.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and share for a few minutes. What a wonderful time already. And the theme of home is just obviously so appropriate. What a wonderful inspiration to think about. Windows to let light in. Just a few updates about Habitat for Humanity in the community. We just, a couple weeks ago, dedicated our 45th home. And yeah, it was, that's great. an amazing time. Reverend Tarsa was there to do the dedication and was so helpful in the service where we handed over the keys, and the homeowner, Angela, and her children cut the yellow ribbon, and they had their place of safe and decent and affordable housing in Grass Valley. Isn't that amazing? It's just such an honor to be a part of it, and you all are a part of it with us. How many of you have frequented the Restore? Anyone? Yes. Okay, all right, that's amazing. And that's just a special way you can support. We're just about to kick off 4 new houses over by Nevada Union High School. We hope to break ground in the next 6 weeks or so, and that'll be our next project. So your support, your financial support, will be a huge help to launch those new activities. We also have the Street of Dreams coming up on the 26th. If any of you have been there before, we'd love to have you participate this year. We have some amazing raffle prizes and live auction items, that kind of thing. But mostly I just want to say to you that the mission of Habitat to create and build safe, decent, and affordable housing is not possible. It's just literally impossible for an individual homeowner to do by themselves. Even if good-hearted contractors, try to come alongside, it's not possible with just 1 or 2 or 3 people. It's only possible when we work together as a community and really demonstrate love to our neighbor and take the time and effort to rally around people who are trying to find that place of home and that place of, long-term safety. And that's what we get to do together through Habitat. So thank you again. Really appreciate the opportunity to share this morning and your support for the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. As the baskets are passed and we listen to more beautiful music, the slide will tell you additional ways to give. And we also encourage you to visit the Habitat for Humanity website. Thank you both. That was beautiful. And thank you for your generous gifts. We dedicate them to opening our hearts to do our part to ensure that everyone has shelter, safety, dignity, and hope. Thank you. Yes, the choir, Toby, great to have you back. That was a tricky number too, wasn't it? And our readers, Nancy and Kathy, Mei Lin, wonderful, wonderful music. Back in the back, Steve and Cypress, Eileen on Zoom, of course, Linda for the lovely setting this morning. Cheryl, that was lovely. Your words were lovely. The greeters, Gwen, Katz, and Carl, refreshments, Keith, Elizabeth, Kids Connection, and I bet they're having a good time up there today. And our lay pastoral care representative this morning is Sue Gregory. So many thanks to everyone.
And thank you to Cheryl for being worship associate. Toby and Mei Lin, it was fun to hear the two of you play together. Two really such talented musicians. That was really a treat. A couple of things coming up this week. Women's Circle tomorrow. There's an arts and Crafts Circle that's meeting on, I think, alternate Tuesdays, a couple Tuesdays a month. Joys and Sorrows candlelight service here on Thursday evening. And Starting Point for those who want to dive a little bit deeper into what is this place and this tradition over the course of several sessions. That begins Friday. There's a presidential debate watch party on Tuesday, complete with potluck. Sign up so they have some sense of numbers. I'm afraid I'll be out of town, or I'd be there with you. Notice we're not naming a political party there. We're just having a watch party for the debate. Next Sunday is the special Kids Connection open house. So what will happen is at the end of the service, the parents of children will be able to go up and experience a little bit of what happens at Kids Connection. Please invite families you know who might really be searching for a community or benefit from community to come and be part of that. And there's a series of potlucks. So these are sign up ahead of time. The next one is on Monday the 16th. So we wanted to make sure you knew about that. As always, check the website for all that's going on, or sign up for the newsletters is another way. We're going to close this morning with a song titled Morning Has Come. We often sing this at the beginning because it's kind of a come-in energy. We sing it at the end today on purpose with a sense of invitation to what's next. So it has a line of, may what happens here in essence, may the love that shines here on every person's face, may the hope that shines on each person's face guide your journey home. So I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to sing together. If you want music, there are soft cover hymn books. If you're a person who likes to see the music, the words will be on the screen. Morning has come, arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. A new day dawns, once more the gift you feel. Wonder fills this moment shared together. The light of peace here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Open our eyes to see that life abounds. Open hearts to welcome it among us. The light of love here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. Rebecca Parker's wisdom once again to send us on our way. This is how churches, synagogues, sanghas, and mosques make a home for hope. Their sheltering walls offer us a way of living that finds joy and meaning in each other, in simpler ways of being, in slowing down, and in giving time to the things that matter most. They enable us to create a good life together, a community of resistance, a covenant of joyful interdependence that will support us through the radical changes needed in society as we embrace the calling to live peacefully and sustainably on this earth. So may we be. And remembering that we don't do this in isolation, we share this community benediction, these good words with each other to send us on our way. Together, let's carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Join us for refreshments, conversations, invite a family for next Sunday, and we'll see you for the art of gathering.